Hello, I'm Colin Daniels, and welcome to People in Perspective. With me is Susan Daniels, a special education teacher at Kippison Primary Schools. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so let's start this off with your inspiration. Why did you decide to become a special education teacher compared to other fields?
Well, it's funny because when I was younger, when I was asked what I wanted to be when I grew up, the only thing I said for sure that I didn't want to be, I didn't know what I wanted to be, but I knew I didn't want to be a teacher. It's the only thing I didn't want. But fast forward years later, and I was in high school, and I had worked and volunteered with a number of groups that were focused on people with disabilities, and I just really enjoyed it. And then my high school math teacher invited me to look into what it would be like to be a special education teacher. And as I researched it more, I found this would be right up my alley. And so as I, started taking courses in college, I decided that this is right for me. I volunteered at a lot of places, including our campus site called the Office of Disability Concerns, where I worked with adults that had learning disabilities and were deaf and hard of hearing, and even some that had behavior challenges and mental disorders. And as I worked with them, I just had a special knack for being able to understand where they were coming from and then help them in the environment that they were in.
Mm-hmm. So where did you go to school, and how important is schooling in being a special education teacher?
It's extremely important. I went to school at Illinois State University, where they have many majors that are lots of majors, but special education is one of what they're well known for. They have some of the top people that do research and are credited with writing a number of books about working with people with disabilities, physical and people with different ways of thinking. And is it important? Yes, it was very important for me to really learn the craft. And then when I got into teaching, I took a number of courses to continue my education. And I went to University of Illinois at Chicago, also known as UIC. UIC is also strong in the field with working with understanding and working with people with disabilities. So as I continued that and just learning more how to perfect my craft.
Okay. So what would you say are some of the best parts of your daily, work?
My daily work, yes. I love it. I didn't always love it. At first, when I started, there was a lot of challenges. It's very challenging, but now I absolutely love it. What do I love about it? It is seeing people who maybe are considered the underdog, that see the world from a different perspective and understanding their perspective. They are just as smart and as hardworking and have many talents that just need to be brought out. If you just focus on the one thing of reading and writing and math and in the one way, they're not able to showcase their talents. But once you start thinking outside of the box, you get and start to teach in that respect. You get to see a whole different viewpoint of watching people learn and grow and develop. So I've worked in a couple different schools. One, the current one I'm working at now is Kippison Primary, and I work with second graders. And some of these kids are dyslexic, meaning they have challenges reading in different ways, but they're brilliant. They have good ideas. They know more than if they can't read a letter, doesn't mean that they don't know what is going on. So watching them learn and grow and feeling the excitement of reading and understanding math, as long as you get to the way that they learn, they can do amazing things. So that's one of the best parts of working in special education, is to see kids learn no matter what.
Mm-hmm. So leading on from that, do you think, if any, are there any downsides to, what you do?
I think with any profession that's the case. Like I said in the beginning, when I first started out as teaching, it was very challenging to work in the special education field for me personally, because it felt like a person who is right-handed who is always having to write with their left. It just didn't feel natural or right, or just didn't feel natural more so. And sometimes kids are dealing with a lot of pain, a lot of frustration, a lot of anger that is outside of the school setting. Or sometimes they're just frustrated with being in the school setting because it's not easy. It's not that's the most challenging place. So at first, when I didn't understand those ideas, and I took it personally, when I learned to understand that if a child is going through that, you sometimes have to get to the root of their issue, build a strong relationship with them, with meaning like understanding where they're coming from, putting your feet in their shoes, and taking a walk for a little bit to understand where they're coming from. If you don't do that and you stay with trying to just teach the one way, that is very challenging. You need to take a moment to step into their shoes and walk a mile in them for a few years.
Mm-hmm. So people in your position of special education, they're very sought after. Why do you think this is?
Because it's a very challenging field. It's very challenging. When I went to college, I was told by multiple professors and people that were in the special education field that most special education teachers do not last beyond 5 years. It's hard. It's hard work. There's one thing I forgot to mention in the downsides, there's a lot of paperwork. You're teaching a lot. You have to think of various ways to teach different kids. And so not a lot of people can make it. And it's not that is something that, we can fully understand, because in the beginning, I didn't think I was going to last 5 years. But once you begin to learn a few things, going to school and learning more and more does help with that process. And then I think it's just a matter of you're well sought after because it is a field of expertise that not everybody can do.
All right. As we close up this episode, is there anything else you'd like to say to people who may be interested in this career field?
I definitely say try it. Look into it. Go to school. It isn't for everyone, but it is definitely a rewarding field, and it's the little things that can really make your entire day. I am happier for being in this field. One, for just the students, but as you said in your last question, you're well sought after, and so you're a high commodity, and your salary gets better and better the older you get and the longer you stay.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me on this edition of People in Perspective, Ms. Daniels.
I enjoyed this. Thank you very much.